Thank you so very much for coming and having this conversation.
Thank you for thinking that I was worthy to sit on the sofa.
Truly, you are beyond worthy. My pleasure. My pleasure. You're one of those people who I don't remember how we met or how long I've known you. But I've always been happy to know you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
The feeling is beyond mutual.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. My honor. Yeah. I know that I've always known you to be doing a work larger than yourself. Like I've always, and not just in your 9 to 5, but just in the way you walk through life. And conversations that are had about you.
Wow.
That's the conversation. So, I know that we've had conversation before, but I still want to ask you this. Like, where do you get that from? Where do you get that sense of doing work for community or doing work larger than your own circumstance?
Oh, that's easy. My mother.
Okay.
I get it from my mama.
Yeah.
I get it from my mother. My mother was a community activist before she realized she was a community activist.
Yeah.
Just doing, just being helpful, being someone of service, and that's something that she instilled in me, as a child. And I think I told you the story once before about we grew up in South Ward.
Yeah.
And so 440 Elizabeth Avenue.
Yeah.
And when my parents split up, we moved into that building. And at the time, we first moved in, it was a very nice building. And then it changed hands and the services started to go down. And at that time, my mother was, divorced mother of 2 with a GED, on welfare, Section 8. And she decided to form a tennis association and organize a rent strike.
Okay. All right.
Because of all the things that were going on.
Yeah.
Now, she had been told, through the management and even through the legal services that, look, Miss Bey, usually people do rent strike when the management get, things straight, they could even get, a rebate, tenants get a rebate, but because you're on Section 8, you would not be eligible. Okay, you have subsidized rent. You still want to proceed? Absolutely. Went through all the stuff, got the landlords to do everything.
Yeah.
People got their rebates, and they asked my mother, why did you do it? She said, it's not about me. It's about us.
Yeah.
And so that stayed with me. I was 10 years old, but I'll never forget it.
Right.
She said, it's not about me. It's about us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it is,
Yeah. It's funny. Like I think about how as like children, our parents are the first and most significant example that we see of a man, a woman, whatever that is, right? And we see it every day. And it's so interesting to me that, none of us consider ourselves superhuman because none of us are superhuman.
Right.
But the capacity for our humanity, some of us push it out. Some of us really show up in the fuller capacity of what humanity can be. And like listening to that story, it's like, man, your mom really showed up.
Yeah.
And like showed up as something that would live in history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the minds and memories of the people that she affected, whether it be the tenants or the landlords.
Yeah, right.
And
both,
then,
both in this instance.
Right? And in yours, right?
Yeah,
and in her children, right? It's
yeah.
like, that's such a wonderful thing. Man, it takes me to something. So I had this experience. I love that I get to talk to you about this. So I had this experience. Like my mom died last year, right?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And I remember one day I was sitting on, I might have talked about this on this podcast before. I don't remember, but you reminded me of it. I'm sitting on the side of the bed one day, just like she had been diagnosed with cancer in the spring. She died in the fall, right? But sometime in the spring, I'm sitting on the side of the bed and I'm scrolling on my phone and I hear this version of Bridge Over Troubled Water, right? And I didn't grow up in a gospel house. Like gospel music just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the lyrics of the song were so profound to me in that one moment because my mom had been suffering with cancer, obviously, before she was diagnosed with it. You know what I mean? And then diagnosed with it and she's suffering. And then as she's diagnosed, like I have two sisters that lived in the same area she lived. My mom lived in Charlotte. So I had two sisters that lived down there. So they're like living with this every day. You know what I mean? This knowledge that my mom is dying, as well as this visual of my mom, you know, fading away, so to speak. But the lyric in the song goes, oh man, I can't place it. Anyway, the lyric is, like a bridge over troubled water.
Yes.
Like I will lay me down,
Yeah,
like a bridge over troubled water, right? And it struck me so much, this idea that, especially when parents and grandparents and whatnot approach death, there is something about the opportunity to have lived well that provides peace when their death is approaching and when their death comes and when grief comes and all that. Like the remembrance of how they lived can be like a calming effect, like a bridge over troubled waters. Just remembering like who that person was. And my mom was that person. You know what I mean? Like my mom was that person to many people. And in that moment, it struck me so much because I have kids. So it was the realization for me that like, oh, now I know what gift I have the opportunity to give them. Whether it's a thing that I do for them directly or not. I feel like every time I do a podcast, there's a fire somewhere.
You know, it's fire season in Newark, so.
Right. But yeah, it's like, I have the opportunity to give them that. You know what I mean? And so that they have those memories when that time comes, whenever that time comes for me, you know? And it gave me so much, it gave me such a challenge, obviously, because then it gave me so much like sobriety and like what living a life intentionally will sum up to one way or the other, right? And it gave me such joy in that, like, I know I can put a good thing out into the world that will matter to the people that matter to me most. You know what I mean? It's like we're always thinking about like, what can I do for my people?
Exactly.
And like being the best version of me is the best thing I can do for my people. You know what I mean? So thank you for reminding me of that again. So you grew up in Newark, right?
Yes.
And one thing that I think about Newark a lot, and I'm interested in your perspective on this, is, you know, Newark is a city that lives in the shadow of its stigma in a lot of ways, right? However true or untrue that stigma is, and it's largely untrue in 2024.
Yes.
Right? But the shadow still remains, the stigma still remains, right? But it's such a fantastic time to be here.
It is.
Like to be here now, to be Black here now is fantastic, right? If you just engage it, that's all you got to do. You know what I mean? And it's so much opportunity. There's so much cultural understanding and embracing. Like, what's your feeling on Newark of 2024?
Newark of 2024 is alive. It's electric. It's loud. It's soft. It's quiet. It's crazy. It's fun. You know, it's fun. Like this past summer was like the most fun ever.
Yes.
It was so amazing. Like it was so much going on. And I mean, I don't care what your bag is, you know, what your interest, you know, where your interests lie. You can find it in Newark.
Right.
You know, you can find it here. And I don't like when people try to, you know, pigeonhole us into this city of oppression, you know, and people, and they say it as if it's a compliment, you know, Newarkers are so resilient because it sounds like, all we do is suffer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we just, singing the sweet low, sweet
Right.
chariot. Like, no,
Right.
we're not just trying to overcome.
Right.
We are builders and educators and creators, and there's such history and culture here. But what I love about this city is the community, the love. You feel loved here.
Yeah.
You know when you go into a room and you feel that energy, that there are people there that you know and some people there that you just meeting for the first time. But there's a sense of togetherness and connectedness that you don't feel everywhere.
Right.
Newark feels like home.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't born and raised here,
Right,
it would still feel like home.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I remember one time somebody was saying, somebody that used to work here, Felipe Luciano.
Yes.
He was saying how when he first came to work in Newark, he was so struck by the hospitality on the street.
Yeah.
Like how people say hello, people say good morning, and that's not common everywhere. It's not common in New York.
No.
But one of the things that it reminded me is like, okay, Newark is one of the cities of the migration.
Yes.
So like, and Newark is also a city of immigration.
Yes.
So there's an awful lot of culture here, and there's an awful lot of cultures of hospitality here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whether it's whatever ethnicity or culture it is, the cultures are cultures of hospitality. They're not cultures of isolation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when you go into, if you're in the North Ward, if you're in the East Ward, if you're in the South Ward, whatever it is, like you walk into a place and you are welcomed in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like if you're walking in the street, it's just not abnormal that somebody says hello to you before you get a chance to say hello to them.
You find kindness here.
Yeah.
It's kindness and comfort here. And people try to scare other people off.
Right.
And talk about, oh, the crime is this and this and that. Yeah. New York City is riddled with crime.
Right.
But it doesn't scare people away.
Right.
People they flock to New York City in droves.
Right. Every tourist attraction. Every city any city that you would travel to has crime, has high crime.
Right. Exactly. But there's still love, and there's still community, and there's still kindness, and there's generosity, there's support. Let something happen to someone. Put the bad signal in the sky, and Northers will show up.
Right.
We will show up and show out for our people because we know how to take care of one another. Right. And so we put a Northern spin on Southern hospitality here.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that was fly. So tell me this, like, as far as you remember, when are the early remembrances for you of like recognizing your own personality and your own style?
I don't know. I was a late bloomer. So I was definitely an adult trying to figure things out because I've always been the kind of person that, I was a good girl. I did what I was told. I was supposed to go to school. I was supposed to study. I was supposed to do this. And so I find myself kind of living the life that other people told me to. So I didn't kind of come into my own until later on. I'm like late 30s, really started to develop my own voice, and because my mother's always been my role model. I stole her whole face. I look like her. I sound like her. And so, but I realized that, some of the things that I loved, that she loved, I really loved it. Yeah. It wasn't just following behind her. And I realized that in my 30s that it was okay to see things differently than other people, to feel things differently. And you can disagree with someone without becoming their enemy. And you can have your own train of thought and it's okay.
Yeah.
And so that really kind of led me to be even more outspoken, on certain things, and learn how to, temper the frustration that people don't always understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay too,
Yeah.
because we all, everybody, we all grow in degrees and stages, and I'm not where I used to be, and I'm not where I'm going to be.
Absolutely.
And so, you gotta, give grace to everyone.
Yeah. Right, including
Mhm.
yourself, right?
And starting with myself first, because I'm my my harshest critic.
Yeah. But like you see your potential the most clearly, I would imagine. I would
Yeah.
say so because like I'm a late bloomer.
Yeah.
So like I've in my experience, it's like, oh, I have so much potential.
Yeah.
Because I've seen what I look like when I lock in.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that when I'm really focused
Mhm.
on a goal and objective, it's you can forget about it.
Right.
It's done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. And even when people say, like, why are you doing this? Where are you going with this? What, you don't have to understand it.
Right.
As long as I see it and I understand it and I feel it. And that's all that matters.
Right.
That's all that matters. And so I just kind of just allow myself to grow into whatever it is that I'm feeling, and follow that path, and be okay with whatever the outcome is, whatever God has in store for me.
Yeah.
But as long as I focus on what I know that I need to do for myself, that's it.
Yeah. Now tell me something that your mom liked and you like.
My mother, she was the one that, really gave me the love of reading and of culture and music.
Yeah.
My mother loves going, even to this day, she loves going to matinee. She loves going to Broadway, but I gotta take her to the matinee now. She can't do the 8 o'clock. Frida will be asleep. But theater, live performances, art. She's the one. Growing up, we lived in the Newark Museum. And I mean, she, to this day, take it to the museum. She goes to the planetarium.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good
She's good. Grew up in the Ballantine house, and all those things. And so those are the things that we share. The love of art and culture.
Yeah. I realized that when I was like, I don't know, late teens, like my father's favorite singer was Sam Cooke.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I realized like, oh, that's just, the world's just gonna have to accept this about me. Like that's my favorite singer.
Yeah.
Right. And I love music, and I love contemporary music, and I love different genres of music, but that's still it for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of it is the nostalgia
Yeah.
of like, my childhood, obviously, but so much of it is just simply, I have such an affinity for the sound of that voice and the lyrics of those songs.
Yeah.
And like that's among other things. That's one of those things that I realized about myself. That's like, oh, I like what I like, but there's some things that I like because of the example that I saw, or my heroes liked it. You know what I mean? And my heroes have good taste.
Yeah.
Thankfully, right?
Yeah.
They're not just my heroes. But like, yeah, that's such a interesting thing to me, like especially in this day and age where society, at least Western society, doesn't have the intergenerational linkage that society had, say, 100 years ago. Right?
Yeah. Because when you talk about that, like, so I grew up with music in my home all the time. My mother had a piano, still has it, a piano. My mother plays piano.
Yeah.
That her parents gave her. So, because she loved to play it as a child, and so they gave it to her when her and my dad got married, and so we took piano lessons. And so my mother always played Aretha. She always played Aretha Franklin songs. I sang Aretha Franklin because Aretha Franklin used to play the piano.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where my love of music and live music came from, because I would sit in the living room and watch my mother play the piano.
Right.
And have her sing, and we would sing together. Now none of us can really sing,
Uh-huh.
but to us in that household, it sounded it sounded really good, because it was love.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I have different feelings when I listen to different types of music. I love my jazz. I'm a
Mhm.
80s hip hop girl.
Mhm.
You know, I even like, some, I'm an 80s rock girl too.
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah,
judge
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a,
yeah.
Pat Benatar,
Pat Benatar, yeah,
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 John Bon Jovi fan.
yeah,
So, but different things. So, but all that came from my household.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me ask you this: like, what's your relationship with ambition?
With ambition.
Yeah.
Realizing now that it's not necessarily a dirty word.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
because before it was like, if people said that you were ambitious, it was almost like they cursed at you,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and there's nothing wrong with ambition.
Yeah.
It's what you do with it.
Right.
It's how you use it, what you use it for.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people used to say, money is the root of all
Right.
evil. Lies.
Right.
Big lies.
Right.
It's what you do with it, is
Yes.
how you use it.
Yes.
So no, my relationship with ambition is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We are learning to be friends.
Yeah.
So we are growing together. We are in a loving
I
relationship.
love that. In a loving relationship.
Yes.
I love that. That means everything, right?
Yeah.
If there's genuine love there, right?
Yeah. And then also people think that there's a timestamp on ambition. Once you get to a certain age, you shouldn't want anything else. You should just be satisfied, just go in the corner and just, watch TV and just wait to die.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, to your point, like a lot of the conversation, the way that people use the term ambition is purely for commercial use.
Right.
So there's an ambition in just how I want to explore my own creativity. There's an ambition that I can just have ambition as it relates to how, if I want to learn new languages or travel or all these types of things, there's a factor of ambition in there because it's the drive to become something that I'm not.
Absolutely.
Yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's something that I think that it happens. It's encouraged mostly for people in their 20s, right? That's when it's most allowed, even though it's been a dirty word all along. Mm-hmm. It's most allowed for people in their 20s when they're so-called setting up their lives, right? Mm-hmm. But I think about it there is such an energy, an electric energy around ambition. And as we get older and smarter and wiser and more sophisticated, our ambition shows up differently. Yeah. It's still ambition, but it's not like what a 23-year-old is trying to do in the way they're exerting energy. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not hustle in the same way, as younger people is. It's as we get older, I'm 45 now. And to me, ambition has a lot to do with my personal routines, and the way I approach them as building blocks. Yeah. And so it's not about what I go out in the world and do even. It's about how do I build myself every morning? Yeah. You know what I mean? And how do I fashion myself before I go out into the world? And I do these things with such an intentionality now that I didn't have when I was. I wasn't trying to set myself up before I leave the house. I thought it was everything happens outside the house. That's what I thought. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now I'm realizing, no, nothing happens until it happens inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I dig that. A loving relationship with ambition. Yeah. And then I'm also just personally very fascinated with the concept of gratitude. Yeah. So what's your relationship with gratitude?
That's one thing that's always been with me. I've always been very aware of the importance of being grateful. Ungratefulness is a sin. I truly believe that, and I mean, grateful for breath, grateful to be able to walk, grateful to be able to speak and be coherent and understood. There are people who are speaking in their head but cannot articulate out their mouths because of whatever disease or affliction that's happening. But also grateful for opportunities, grateful for things that didn't happen that I wanted to happen, and I didn't realize that because, sometimes if it was a job or something happened and, a relationship that didn't work out and it's oh my goodness. And it wasn't until, you know, you had some time and space in between those things,
Yeah.
that you realized that God was saving you from something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you hear those stories about people who would just miss getting to the towers during 9/11
Right.
or something like that,
Right.
because they were stuck in traffic
Mhm.
and they were cursing the traffic.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, you have to be grateful for everything,
Yeah.
because there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
You know, even the things that we think are bad, there's, you know, God may be saving you from something else.
Right.
So that job wasn't for you. That relationship, you know, wasn't for you.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, so yeah. So being grateful is something that has to happen every day. Now, when you talk about being intentional about something,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
Because just whatever it is that you're celebrating, that you think that you're so, you know, that you're so great about, and that you're so happy to have,
Immediately
can be gone in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Just because you were not grateful.
Right. Right.
I don't play those games.
Yeah. 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 Right. And it can be gone even if you were grateful.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
know that you can
For a
still
reason.
lose it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of it. You
Yeah.
know. So you got to do the best you can
Yeah.
every single day, because we don't know what day is. You know.
Right.
I mean, you know, we just lost a great.
Yeah.
You know, in Mildred Crump.
Yep.
You know.
And then I heard Sheila Oliver's mother died.
Yeah. And Christy Davis died, you know. And just so many people that have made such a huge impact on us as individuals, as people of color, you know, people of Newark and greater Essex County. And it's just, I'm grateful to have been able to be touched by them. And even the ones that I didn't know, there was something that they did that trickled down to me.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm grateful that they existed.
Right.
You know, because they created an opportunity some way along the way for me. But Mama Mildred, may God forever, ever be pleased with her.
Yeah.
Because that woman, I mean, she left an indelible mark on the city.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, it's like, it's difficult to really wrap our heads around the idea that we're living in history. Like it's not just a thing in books.
Yeah.
It's right now.
Yeah.
Right here. You know, with these people.
Yeah.
In this place. Right. And like there are people like Mildred Crump who, you know, Mildred Crump was Mildred Crump. I think back to the, you know, what we were talking about before. It's like one of the greatest things we can do, and as expressed in the examples of people like Mildred Crump, is be true to ourselves. Yeah. Right? Like just be true, and however loudly that needs to happen, then that's just what needs to happen. Right? But everybody doesn't need to be, you know, working in social services. Everybody doesn't need to be an entrepreneur. Everybody doesn't need to be a creative. Everybody doesn't need to be a politician. Everybody doesn't need to work in education. All these things are important and valuable. But when you find your thing, like you were saying, it's like, it doesn't matter if it makes sense to anybody else. Once you find it and you have God's backing in it, end of story.
That's it. That's it. Period.
Yeah. And like knowing that you have these examples, knowing that you have these references, and that people have had experiences and challenges and victories, and how they carry the challenges and how they carry the victories. It's like, it's everything is a cheat code. Yeah. I think it's all a cheat code. Yeah. It's just a matter of how much we're paying attention and how much we apply what we pay attention to. Yeah. But like none of this, like there's so little that we actually have to figure out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the codes have already been given to us.
It's all there.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So I grew up, I was the youngest of 7. There were like 5 in the household. 2, my half brother and half sister lived with their mother's side of the family. How many? Do you have siblings?
Yes, I have 2 older brothers
Mhm.
that my father had before he married my mother,
Yeah.
and then I have a younger sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So 2 boys, 2 girls.
Yep.
Okay. So how has that? I feel like the sibling dynamic is a thing that whether or not you remain in it throughout adulthood,
Mhm.
it informs how you see like social relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you occupy the spot that you occupy. That gives you a certain vantage point of like how the youngest acts, how the oldest acts, how the boys act, how the
Mhm.
girls act, how the parents act,
Mhm.
right? How what's expected of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What your gifts are that for whatever reason
Mhm.
nobody else has,
Yeah.
right? Um, like for you, what's the oldest girl, not quite middle, like how does that affect your perspective?
I'm the oldest, period.
Period.
I'm the oldest,
Oh, okay,
even
okay.
though my brothers are older. I am the oldest.
you.
I am the
I
oldest
don't want
child.
no problems.
I am the oldest child. I've been used to taking care of everybody,
Yeah,
and so my brothers are 5 and 6 years older than me,
got you.
and my sister now only 11 months apart.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
and my brothers, they're only a year apart,
hmm
but I've always been the one, and so um, they grew up, very differently than my sister and I
Yeah.
in the household with their mother, and so they were surrounded by addiction and different things,
Okay.
and so I've been the one to bail them out of jail and put them in rehab
Mhm.
and go through all of those different things,
Yeah.
and um, it just became, I just kind of accepted that role,
hmm Yeah.
and so I've never felt like I had an older sibling. It
Gotcha.
was just, it just happens. And then my sister is, even though she and I only 11 months apart, I'm always been super big sister,
hmm
and so out of the 2 of us, she's the only one that has children,
Got you.
and she has the twin boys, and my father's a twin,
Okay.
and so they become my children,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
they get everything, and so I feel like I've just been living that mama life vicariously through her.
Got you.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but I get to get my mommy fix and then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
go back out into community.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yep. Yep. You know something I'm curious about? I would
Mhm.
love to ask you about and get your insight on.
Mhm.
So you became a Delta,
Yes.
right? And not when you were 20,
No.
right? What was it about the idea of becoming a Delta or joining a sorority at all that appealed to you?
So when I was in college, I was interested
Mhm.
in pledging, and so I went to college when I was 16,
Mhm.
and so first time away from home, out here in these streets,
Mhm.
start cutting up. Next thing I
Mhm.
know, I was on academic
Yeah.
probation,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so couldn't pledge then.
Right. 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 Right.
So got myself together, got my
Okay.
grades together after my mother threatened me, and then the sorority, the chapter got suspended for hazing. So
Okay.
had to wait again. So
Yeah.
by the time they got themselves together and we were at the same time, the same place, I had an opportunity to go do my Washington internship in Congressman Payne's office in DC.
Mhm.
So I took it.
Mhm.
So I never got the opportunity.
Mhm.
So afterwards, I kind of thought about it. But the reason why I wanted to do it is because when I was on campus, that was the organization that I saw working in the community.
Mhm.
And so I would help out. They went to homeless shelters and they worked with pregnant teens and they
Yeah.
did things. And so from there to now, in every point in my life, whether I was in college, when I was doing my internship,
Mhm.
every job that I've had, professional opportunity, there was a woman that was there that was helping me, mentoring me, taking me under her wing.
Mhm.
And every single time she was a Delta. It was a Delta. And so I was
Okay.
just like, I want to be a part of this,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so when the opportunity came about a few years ago, I was like, no, I'm too old. Nobody wants to do this. I don't have time for this. And I'm thinking about, you know,
Right.
the college.
Right.
You know, and my mother was dead set against it.
Mm.
She saw school days and that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it.
yeah,
She
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, no, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And we're African. You don't need to be Greek. And she
Yeah,
went through the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But, you know, years have come by and she was, you know, okay with it.
Mhm.
So I turned it down. Then, you know, an opportunity presented itself and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Because I was worried about, again, what other people think.
Got you.
You know, that I was too old to do this and everything. And showed up, and so many sisters that I know, younger than me, same age as me, older than me. And, you know, it's one of the best decisions that I've ever made. That was just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just for me. The three things that I've done that were just for me that I are the greatest things I've ever done was making Hajj, you know, going back to school,
Yeah.
you know, getting my advanced degree, and pledging Delta Sigma Theta.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. Yeah. I've never been like it's never been appealing to me.
Yeah.
And it's just been fascinating to me to observe other people. You know what I mean? And it's such a super glue among the sorority. You know what I mean? Or the fraternity either, you know. But like especially how it's represented, and then like obviously I don't know, you know, from the inside of it, but from what I hear from folks that I know, it's like, oh, you live this thing. You don't just, it's not like a football team.
Yeah, like you put on a uniform and then go out to the field and then come back off.
Yeah.
No, it's every day.
Yeah.
It's every day, all day. And the sisterhood and people, you know, they throw that word around loosely sometimes. But the bonds, the friendships, the love that has come with this organization, and the group that, you know, my line sisters, it was 83 of us, which is the largest line in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Every single woman there, like that whole group could just kind of run the world. You know, only thing we can't do is reproduce by ourselves. That's it. That was the only thing. But it's just, you know, just dynamic, and to be around that kind of energy and around that kind of that brilliance and that commitment to service and to uplift other people, and don't feel it robbery to help at any time for anything, to show up all the time, to support. You know, that was just a bonus blessing, you know, of my life. And so I'm like, yeah, that was the same thing.
Shout out. Yeah, word. I definitely want to talk to you about your current work. So like working for or leading Newark Emergency Services for Families puts you in an environment where you're constantly being made aware of people's lowest moments.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to sip some water. I need to sip.
But like, you know, it's something that, and even, you know, when you were working like workforce development previously, it's like you're in these fields doing this work where people either don't know what to do, don't know that there's an organization exactly for this work, and that there's somebody in position who actually has the intention to help and isn't just happy to be the boss, right? But on your side of the experience, it's like constantly being introduced to people's low moments. Like how do you navigate through that?
Understanding and remembering my own low moments, you know, and knowing that when my parents first got divorced and my mother didn't know what to do and she needed help, she went to Newark Emergency Services.
Oh, okay.
She went to Newark Emergency
That's a
Services when I was a child.
callback.
Yeah. And so it's personal for me. And knowing and understanding that, most of us are a paycheck or two away from being on the other side, because you never know what brought people to the place that they are.
Right.
And just being a natural connector, me, and just understanding that God gave me the opportunity and the ability to stand in the gap for other people. And so, because there's some people that are just there to collect a paycheck. And when I say they, I don't mean Newark Emergency, just in different positions. Shirley Chisholm said that, she was sick and tired of seeing, at this time she said black men, but, just people sitting in positions of power acting as if they have none. And we're more powerful than we know. And all we have to do is just kind of connect the dots. And sometimes people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And so, but when you lay it out in front of them and help them figure it out, there's a instant gratification that you have by helping people. You see the light shine in their face. You see the light bulb go off. Like, oh my God, And so, but it's not always easy absorbing other people's trauma, And so, people like to always throw out, self-care is the buzzword, but sometimes self-care is just being quiet, and just, being still. And sometimes you just gotta let it wash over you, because when you take in so much and when you're that person that you just, like, I got you, I got you, I got you, and you forget to have yourself. And it's very easy to forget boundaries, and when people call you, especially when you are close to other people in the community, and they will call you at 6:00 on a Sunday morning, oh, Amina's up, it's okay. And, I need da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do at this moment. So you have to really be careful. And sometimes you have to have some selfish moments, and know when you have to just kind of, quiet yourself and get back to you before, and replenish. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. And I've learned that the very, very hard way.
Okay.
Like, I've literally passed out.
Really?
Yeah. At our very first homeless day, passed out in the middle of Lincoln Park. It's just a fool. Just not, just telling everybody else what they should do for themselves and not taking any of my own advice.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, I'm glad you got it now.
Yeah. You kind of learn when you stretched out on the ground.
Yeah. When you waking up.
Right. People standing over you in the park.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
My last question I have for you. What is your relationship with death? Like, as it relates to people that you lose and grieve, or considerations of your own?
I used to be very afraid of death. Terrified. Like, I would just think it I used to just terrified. And I'm talking not even just as a child. As an adult, I used to be terrified. And what I realized is that that showed a lack of faith on my part. And I had to check myself on that. I don't embrace it. I'm trying to avoid it. But I do understand that death is a part of life, and I've had to deal with a lot of it over the years with family members. I lost my biological father and my bonus dad, and both to cancer.
Okay.
And taking care of them and doing the chemos and so watching that slow, when you lose people that's closest to you, it tears away with something in you. But you also know that you got to prepare yourself, and prepare the people around you. And so I'm more into that now. And so I'm not just trying to avoid it, but I'm preparing, So I've done the the insurance and the
Yeah,
plots and all
Yeah.
of those different things, because I don't want my nephews doing a GoFundMe
Right.
for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
those type of things. But knowing and understanding that we don't know when, and so you
Right.
do what it is that you want to do while
Right.
you're here.
Yeah.
You know, and so whenever God says it's my time, I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
But I don't want to leave here with regrets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, about what I didn't do, or anything in between.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. It's one of those, like, death is a subject that it's probably the most fascinating subject of all.
Yeah.
Because it's a thing that everybody's familiar with and everybody's ignorant about.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. It's like,
yeah, I mean, there's so many different things. You know, some people feel that, you know, some people believe in reincarnation. Some people believe that you go to heaven. Some people don't believe there's a heaven. Some people believe you go to hell. Some people believe that they talk to spirits. Everybody believes what they want and what they need to believe.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and whether it's you know, based in your religious beliefs or just, you know, just something that you feel deep in your heart. But at the end of the day, the one thing that we all can agree on is that it's gonna happen.
Yeah. That's a fact.
It's gonna happen. And my thing is that when I leave here, you know, I want the song to be one of love and positivity.
Yeah.
I don't want now, you know, somebody gonna have something to say. Somebody gonna always have something to say. So I don't know why they talking to that. Let me tell you, I got stories about Amina. And, you know, because, I mean, we've all done dirt. You know, everybody has it. You try to, you know, make amends and be forgiven. But at the end of the day, you want to say life well lived. That's what people say. Life well lived.
Well, I'll be happy to jump whoever decides to say something like that. So.
Yeah, somebody needs to be behind it to defend me, just in case
don't you
the haters come out.
You are covered. If I don't go before you, you are covered.
I appreciate it.
I will slide. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. This has been an honor. I was just like, oh, I'm on the famous sofa. I'm on the famous couch. Yes.
It's my pleasure, truly.
Thank you so much.